Hey, on my Travel Ins podcast, I'm looking at Brett Edwards. Brett is a actor, writer, kind of a editor, filmmaker. Got a lot going on, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's funny. Somebody once told me that if you ever want something done, you got to do it yourself. And I feel like even though technology starts to get, the increase in technology with cameras and filmmaking, it really hasn't made anything any cheaper. So if you want to shoot something, you better learn a little bit about everything, and then you're going to eventually have to edit it because, you're going to want it done your way, and paying somebody to do that it'll take too long and too much money. So you better go the cheap route.
You sound like me in my podcast quest. That's how I started. It's like I literally knew nothing about recording my own voice. The first time I'd ever heard my own voice was listening to my first podcast.
How did you feel when you heard it first?
I literally, it's been 2 years this month. It was Hunter Keir, two-time world champ steer wrestler.
Uh-huh.
I have not listened to it since. I'm not even joking. I have not listened to it since.
It's always weird hearing it for the first time.
Well, because, and back then, the way I had set it up, I couldn't edit it. So however it came out, and that's how it was.
Right.
And I stuttered a lot more than I do now. I said a lot of ums.
Yeah, sure.
And Hunter, I'd known for 10 years, so it was kind of strange trying to interview somebody you've known for a long time.
Yeah, I get that. I did a podcast not but a few days ago, and I have two kids, and one's 3 and one's 2. And then since quarantine, my wife's been sitting at home, and we haven't really had that many in-depth conversations. And so I found out that 90% of the time I'm talking to a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I'm watching these kiddie shows on the TV, and then this podcast comes on, and it's like talking to a guy who maybe made it past the 6th grade, because and I hung up the phone and I thought, oh my God, I am so out of tune. I haven't had a decent conversation with any adult other than my wife for a long time. This has got to change.
I hear you, brother. Man, I hear you on that. Your acting is, the movies you've done, American Sniper, The Longest Ride, TV shows with the Westworld, you've got a lot of really cool parts. And then you did my favorite short movie of The Healer. I just had Ryan Moats on. And
oh, nice. Yeah, rodeo guy.
Oh, yeah. He had a good year last year because of me. I got to give,
Well, then I have high hopes for this afterward.
Well, you got to remember, he. Are you familiar with the American Rodeo? They have it.
It's the richest day in rodeo. It's huge. It's down in Fort Worth, right?
Yeah, in Dallas Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, okay.
In Arlington. And last year he won $400,000 in a weekend.
Oh, who needs to? You do that. You do well at the American. You don't need to go to the NFR at the end of the day. Obviously you want to, but shoot, you're good after that.
That's what Yeah, he won $333,000 for the extra prize, and I think he won like $50,000 or $60,000 for actually winning the team roping with his partner.
I'll be dang. Wow.
And it's all because of me. Just so you know, you can ask him.
Well, good. I'm gonna tell him after this year's over. I'm gonna say, hey, we did the Travel Ins podcast. That's the best choice I've ever made.
There you go. Well, it's just a good luck. You can ask Clay Tryon. He won the world championships after he won the NFR and championships after I gave him a little good juju on the right shoulder, so he throw well.
And team roping, right?
Yeah, he's a header.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then Hunter, 2-time world champ. Just saying.
All right, I like it.
See,
I like it. Well, did I tell you how excited I am to be on this show?
Your wife will be really happy. We'll get some movies made. We'll get you picked up.
Oh yeah.
Get you some options.
I'm ready. Bring it.
Okay, all done. So, with your new book, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, what's the difference between you call yourself a writer?
Sure.
What's the difference between a writer and an author?
It's kind of, here's the way I like to put it, is that an author is the creator of the entire intellectual property, if you will, right? So Book writers are called authors because they created the world that is confined within the covers and on the pages, right? And
Okay.
so, but when you get into film, TV, and media, that kind of thing, writer can take on many different connotations.
Yeah.
You could be a staff writer, so you could add to the story without really getting credit for it, or you could be a co-writer on it where you contributed 33% or more to the screenplay. But I think one of the closest correlation between the two is an author of a book is similar to the creator of a TV show, where they're responsible for creating that world. Okay. And anything about the characters, the idea, the storyline, any of that goes back to the creator, or it goes back to the author of the novel.
So you have your new book, Sacred Land.
Yes.
Did you write that with the complete hope that it becomes a movie or TV show, or did you write that as a book, and then how do you do that?
So what happened was I was friends with this guy for quite a few years, and we're still really good. We're actually better friends now than we were then. But he knew I was an actor, and he ran a studio. He ran a small mini studio for a while, and he was at a film festival. And I had written a play that nobody wanted to put up, and so I said, "To hell with it! I'll take the cheap option, and I'll just film the damn thing, and I'll start submitting it to film festivals." And I got into a few around town, and he saw it, and he saw that I wrote, produced, and acted in it. And he said, "I had no idea you were a writer." And I said, "Oh yeah, I've written all kinds of stuff. It's just hard to get anybody to take a look at it."
Yeah.
So he asked me to send him a few things, and I did that, and he liked them, but he said it's not what I had in mind for the next show that I want to produce. So he gave me this idea about this modern day cowboys versus Indians, where the cowboys are poor from cattle ranching and the Indians are rich from the casinos. And the Indians start buying all the land back, right? And he's like, "So I have this idea. We're interviewing some writers. Maybe you want to come in and you want to give a pitch." And so I said, "Sure." And so I went in and I gave a pitch, and my pitch was probably the worst pitch that anybody could imagine, because this is supposed to be a TV series, and I gave him my grandiose idea of what I had in mind for the first 10 pages of the whole thing. And I'm like, and he looked at me and he goes, "That's it?" And I go, "Well, I tend to write very long, but that's what I have now. I need to put it on paper, and I need to get the characters talking so I can see where they take me." Because I kind of let them, through dialogue, I kind of let them drive the story, right? Sure. And so he said, "Okay." So about a week goes by, and he said, "Okay, well, can you write 10 episodes of that show for me?" And at the time, it was 10, 15-minute episodes, because they were targeting a network called Verizon Go 90. And this was about 3 years ago, I guess now. Excuse me. And so I went ahead and I wrote all 10 episodes, and we went through about a year to 2 years of development.
Right.
And a show called Yellowstone was coming out in June of 2018. And I had turned in my first draft of all these 10 episodes in late 2017. And I already knew that they were shooting Yellowstone. I think it was in the can at that point. And I looked, and they green-lighted my show, and they said, "We love it. We want to start casting." And I said, "Look, this show Yellowstone's coming out. It's by one of the best Western writers in the business today, Taylor Sheridan. Is this a problem?" They said, "No, yours is a little bit more raw, a little darker, a little grittier. We think it's going to be a great compliment." So I said, "Okay." So anyway, we start casting, and what happened is that two things happened at the same time. Verizon Go 90 tanked. They went under. They spent about $250 million and just didn't get enough subscribers and went under. And so and at the same time, on the other end, the studio that I was under the development deal with, they were getting acquired by a larger studio. Oh, shit. And so they called me in 1 week. We had a meeting, and they said, "The situation, you're not going to like it. We think that the new studio coming in is not going to produce your show. They have a couple other shows that they're moving forward with, and we believe yours is just going to sit on the shelf. And so I was like, so what I did was I said, you got to give me the rights back then. I'll give you the money back that you paid me for the deal, but I worked so hard on this, let me at least have it so I can go pitch it to another studio. And they granted them back to me. I didn't have to pay the money or anything like that back, thank God. Because I don't know what I don't even think I had it at that point. And so I sat there for about a week, and I thought, well, should I really go pitch this to another studio, spend another year or two in development? And I thought, no, I'm not doing that. The Hollywood thing, too many people getting involved in the story.
Yeah.
I've worked really hard. I've fought to what I wanted to have in the story. I'm going to turn it into a book. And my wife looked at me and she goes, do you remember the last book? And I said, we're not talking about the last book. Nobody's seen that book. Nobody's seen that book. We're not going to talk about it. It's going to be like it never happened. This is going to be my book.
This is my debut book.
Right. And so that was just a practice run. And so that was in June of last year. And then now this week, this book has come out, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy with it. And I'm happy that it was a book, and I had such a good time writing it as a book over a screenplay, because when things are going into a screenplay, especially when it's on a budget and they have the budget in mind and you're trying to woo the studio, you're thinking, okay, I can make this as cool as possible, but they're going to look at it and go, we can't finance this. And so you're constantly trying to carve out and whittle it down to the bare bones to where it's a quick read and it's something that they can produce on a decent economical budget, right? But with a book, your mind is the sky is the limit. And so, and you have nobody else to give you input about what they think you should do other than those that you respect. Because obviously you send the book around to people you want to get notes from. But it was such a great, I had a ball spending a little bit more time with these characters,
Well, and you get to add writer or author to your resume now too. I think that actually says something.
It's cool. I appreciate that. I always wanted to write a book too. I did a lot of writing as a kid, and my mom told me I should keep writing. And you know what they say about mothers; they're always supportive, no matter what you do. So, as much as you want to take what mom says and that you're the best writer that ever lived, you've got to kind of take a look at yourself and go, maybe I should try something else as well. But writing the book, it feels good to have written a book, and I mean, I'm already thinking about the next one. It's just maybe after quarantine, when the chaos around the house settles down and gets back to normal, I can start putting pen to paper again.
Well, I'll tell you something, the other thing, the way I look at least with like in relationship to my podcast, your book, it can never be taken away.
Right.
It's always out there, and your kids will see it in 10, 15 years, and in 40 years, they'll really appreciate it. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that. That's a real good point.
Well, my youngest just turned 25 last week. So
oh my God.
I have two girls, they're 25 and 26. And one's engaged, the other, they both got long-term boyfriends. And
that's great. Do they live out here, or did they move out of California?
No, one lives in the Valley with her fiance. I have to say that now. And she actually graduated college in screenwriting from Cal State Northridge.
Oh, great!
And she had some very, very cool internships. But she's actually, since you're a lot of people don't understand ranch life. She works at a ranch up in Malibu, up in the mountains.
No kidding.
And called One Gun Ranch. And they
that sounds like an awesome place to work.
Dude, they have 13 horses. They're all retired quarter horses, racing horses that they've rescued. 3 pigs, 2 llamas, a donkey, a miniature horse, like 20 dogs or something like that.
Jesus, you should tell her the hell with screenwriting. Just work there and do that. That sounds like bliss.
Yeah, and they have their own. They grow their own garden And I don't mean like me and you garden. I mean garden.
Like farming, the produce and stuff like that.
Well, and a lot of the produce, we went up there I went up there the day before the quarantine started, because things were shut down pretty much already. Everyone was already starting to back, but it wasn't official. So my wife and I went up there, and I hadn't seen it since she started there. And they're like, "Oh, try this cinnamon basil, and you can try this." And they had so much left over because a lot of the restaurants, they sell their produce to restaurants, local Malibu restaurants, and they weren't buying anything because they were about to shut down. So they had a lot of leftovers, and it was awesome. It was like, oh my God, a lemon tree like you've never seen before.
Oh, I bet.
Probably 250 lemons. And the lady that owns the ranch is literally a billionaire. So that's just a passion project for her. Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
The guy that owned it was Matt Sorum before. He was a drummer from the Cult and Guns N' Roses.
Oh my God.
So it's kind of cool.
That's great.
Yeah, my other daughter actually lives about 5 miles away from here, and her boyfriend just graduated college without actually graduating, I guess. Because they had no ceremony.
Yeah, that's too bad.
He did the last 2 months online for all his classes, his finals, and all that. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, I can imagine. I worked on a film. It's going to come out next year. It's a John Steinbeck piece. I played John Steinbeck. And it's based on, he wrote this series of articles for the San Francisco Chronicle back in the day about all the migrant workers coming from Oakland to work in California and pick cotton in the Salinas Valley. And the director is a professor at San Jose State University. And he sent me the cut last night, and I couldn't believe, there's not a lot of talking in it, and I couldn't believe how great the film came out. And I was talking with him last night, and he was saying, how he hasn't received any word on when they plan to open up again. They're having discussions now about how they can go to online full time, so no in-class lectures. And I'm thinking, this is, I don't like it. I don't know how I feel about it. I haven't thought too much about it because I'm past it, but it's kind of scary to think about that, where
it's a little
kids
surreal.
Don't have to get up, and it's almost like getting up and going to work, right? It's the whole process of transitioning into the modern real world. And if you just roll out of your bed and you don't, I know a lot of college kids don't care what they look like when they go to class, but it's even worse if they don't even have to get out of bed. They just do the laptop or whatever it is, iPad.
Because they were talking about canceling the fall for all the colleges in California, or doing it online. So it kind of makes you, to me, I don't know. Both my daughters graduated college. I can say this now. How important is it that you go to class? Right. It's like, well, why am I spending $50,000 a year or whatever?
If you don't even have to leave your dorm room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's take another look at how expensive this place is. So,
oh God. I remember when I came out of college. Yeah, I know it. 3 and 2.
I'm just here to remind you.
I know 3 and 2, and it seems like it's gone so fast. And I know people say that, and I know it sounds cheesy and cliche, but good Lord, it does. It does. They're walking, and then they're moving, and then they're talking, and then they're talking back to you, and then they want to do things on their own, and they're not either collectively 5. Like, what am I supposed to do when they're collectively 10?
The weirdest part for me was literally driving down the street in my car, and I look over. I used to coach them when they were kids in soccer, and so every year I'd get 15 new kids, and all girls, because my daughter. All of a sudden I'm driving, and I'm like, and this girl looks over at me driving her car and goes, "Hey, Coach Pete," and I'm like, well, "What do you do?" "Oh, I guess you are 16. Oh my God! And now, dude, they're getting married, they're getting pregnant, they're having babies. I'm like, oh my gosh.
All these kids I've known become a grandparent.
Yeah, well, dude, I got multiple friends that are grandparents already. It's like that I went to high school with, and it's like, oh, come on now. So get ready.
That's quick. You'll have fun. I'm ready. I'm not ready. I won't be ready when it happens, but I guess I'll prepare myself for it.
Best you can. So I have a few other questions for you.
Sure.
Most importantly, are you Butch or Sundance?
Oh, shit. I am Butch without a doubt.
All right.
I am Butch.
Because that goes
I remember, I got to tell you this story. It's so weird that you asked Butch or Sundance, right? Because I remember my old man passed away probably 5 years ago from cancer. But I remember I went in to see him. I flew into Kentucky, and he was always in and out of the hospital. So when it finally was like, he's got 6 weeks left, you're like, yeah, whatever. You know, I don't even think the plague could kill this old man. But,
yeah.
You know, it was one of those tough old guys that just didn't want to die. And so, and so I flew in and spent about 2 weeks in Kentucky with him before he went. And there were two things on the TV, and it was the College Softball World Series, and then it was Turner Classic Movies at night, and which they play all the old westerns.
Yeah.
And we were watching Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid like every other night. And I mentioned it to him. I said, you know, this screenplay won a best Oscar for writing back in the day, and people thought, you know, it was nuts how much money they spent on the script back in the 60s. And he said, no kidding. And I said, yeah. He goes, well, I don't really know anything about what you're doing out there in Hollywood. But, you know, do me a favor. Don't quit till you get you one of them gold bastards with no pants on.
Perfect.
I said, what? He said, get the statue, get you one of them gold bastards without pants. And I said, yeah, yes, sir. I will do my best. But it's very political, so I can't promise you anything.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
That's a good story, man. My dad passed away 8 months ago. So.
Oh gosh, sorry to hear it.
Hey, you know, but I do the same thing. Like, I mean, just it's weird how, and I think as a dad, you'll start sharing things. You're like, oh my God, that's what my dad said to me. There are a lot of things I've shared with my kids, and I'm like, oh man, that's straight from my dad.
Right. My wife always steps in because she's like, okay, Dad, not everything has to be a lifelong lesson. you don't have to instill every value in them before they turn 4. I'm like, okay. I know it's not going to land. Right. I know it's not going to land, but I saw an opportunity, and you got to give it a shot.
All right. So you're Butch. You're not Sundance. I got you.
I think I'm Butch.
All right. So I saw the name of your company. I was like,
you got it. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people. I think you're the first guy to get it.
Really?
I think you're the first guy to get it, even though I used the silhouettes of Newman and Redford.
Yeah.
Right? I think you're the first guy to get it. Most people, you know, and then when they hear me say Bandito Shankies, they're like, what's that? I'm like, Yankee Bandits, you know, from Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. And I go, no. I'm like, okay. They're supposed to be in movies, for Christ's sake.
I have a buddy who's it's funny you said that. He goes by 007.
What is that?
007. I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's 007 in Spanish.
Oh, yeah. 007.
Yeah, that's his Instagram. That's what he goes by.
I like it.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So all right, Butch. I got a few questions for you.
Let's hear them. You keep talking. That's what you're good at, right?
Oh, I'm trying to make you talk more. What you've worked on many shows where you've been the actor, and then like when you did The Healer, you were everything.
Right.
How big of a difference is that, just being the talent versus, oh my God, you're looking at everything?
It's a major responsibility, and it's extremely tiresome when you're juggling multiple hats, or even when you're just a writer producer on the show.
Yeah.
I remember I sat down with a producer once and asked him what he liked about being a producer. And he said, because literally everything on the production, the buck stops with you. So everything from the actors having a bottle of water at the auditions to the final product on screen is what a producer is dealing with, right? And so, but one of the things I think is the major difference that when you're on set is that as an actor, and you know, like I play a lot of bit parts, and so they need you real quick, and then they don't. You spend a lot of downtime in the trailer, right? And they'll send you away because everybody else has a job to do, and then they call you in, they point on your spot, and they say, "Hey, okay, do your shtick." You do your shtick, and they're like, "Okay, great," and you're out, right? And then with a producer, I mean, you're managing
Everything.
a lot of people. You're managing the story. You're managing everything. And
Locations. I mean, yeah.
Right. Location. Somebody breaks a window at the location. You got to deal with whoever's at the location, and you got to figure out how to reimburse them and how you're going to fix the window, how you're still going to shoot the show without, now that the window's broken, even though it wasn't in the frame before. So where can we turn it around? And then, guys, we're also running out of time because, and we can't afford to go over, and we don't have another day, so we got to finish tonight. And where are my actors? Why aren't they, why aren't they on set? Kind of deal. So it's like Murphy's Law as a producer. Anything that can go wrong will. That's how you prepare for it. But you also have control over the story. I think as a lot of lead actors, major movie stars have some control over the story and the lines that are being said.
That's why.
Bit parts, sometimes they do to an extent. You can ad-lib, and a lot of, if it's truthful, a lot of writers and producers are like, yeah, that's good, do that. But as a producer, you just, control's a bad word, but you're able to, the project is fluid in the sense that it's malleable, so you can push and shove and bend things in different areas.
Whereas as the talent, you're waiting for everybody else to tell you what to do.
Yeah, you're waiting for everybody else to tell you what to do, and you're there to do your job and not waste money. And like in Michael Caine's book, where it's an extremely difficult job too, if you think about it, right? Because even when you see your kids dancing around in the house, and all of a sudden you turn the camera on them on your little phone, they stop doing it, which kind of tells me that it's unnatural in the first place to be in front of a camera. There's just something weird about it. And so it's like, I don't know, I kind of compare it to golf a little bit, right? Where if the course is empty and you're playing and you're able to get into a rhythm, right? And you just get into a rhythm and you start playing really well. But if it's on a busy weekend and you're waiting on every shot, right? That's kind of what it's like to be an actor, where you're just sitting around, your lines, but all of a sudden you get called to set, the lights are on you, the camera's on you, and they tell you to go. And all of a sudden it's like, shit, I don't even remember my line, but I just said it 150 times in my trailer, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be ready and you have to do it right, because what you don't want to be is the guy that comes in and says his lines and it takes 75 takes to get the one line down that they absolutely need, but the lead actor couldn't deliver good because it's just one of those lines that they need for the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's two completely different talents in its own right, producing and acting.
Well, let me ask you, this is kind of a random question, but did you have to join the PGA, the WGA, and the SAG? I mean, are you part of all the unions?
So, the only union that I'm part of is SAG, and that's because I was a force to join. Producers, I think each project that I've done a couple of projects, I've had to pay into the producer's pension plan of some sort.
Yeah.
The Writers Guild, you can join, but it helps with negotiations when you get work. But the hardest thing to do is to get work. It doesn't help you get the work. It just helps your contract out once you get it, right? So, I mean, you've got great writers like Tarantino, who is not part of the WGA.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why every time you see Writers Guild Award nominees, and Tarantino's he's not there, and he may win the Oscar, but he didn't win that because he's just not a member. He never.
I never knew that.
It just didn't make sense. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And like SAG, you have to, right?
SAG, there's really no other way around it, because there's, especially on major productions, the speaking roles have to be union members.
Right. And same thing with AFTRA, right?
Same thing with AFTRA. And actually, I want to say in 2011, they merged to be one.
Right.
Which really hurt, frankly speaking, it really hurt the bit parts and the day players and the commercial actors. I mean, commercial actors used to be able to book 3 or 4 commercials and make a pretty good living that year based on the residuals and the money that was paid out on a national scale. But once they merged them, the buyouts increased and the dollar amount for those buyouts significantly decreased. So it was a way for producers and big name. So you see like a lot of big name A-list talents like George Clooney, Leonardo DiCaprio. You'll notice that they're producing just about everything that they're in because that's how they make their money on the back end.
Exactly.
And, they pay their bit parts and day players a lot lower. And that being said, the pay is still great, right? The pay and the benefits is still good, but
not what it was.
It significantly changed the landscape of smaller role acting.
MMA fighters kind of did the same thing. When the UFC, I don't know if you know any of this, but when UFC said Tap Out was their official sponsor, and then Reebok took over, all the fighters lost all their sponsors, all their sponsor monies. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars because they could no longer. They had to wear Reebok in all of the UFC produced shows, commercials, TVs when they fight. Like because I used to work for One More Round Clothing, and we used to sponsor fighters, and we'd pay them, on a undercard Strikeforce card, we'd pay them $5,000 to wear our T-shirt into the cage, and then they'd have to wear it. We'd negotiate. They'd have to wear the shirt, win or lose at the when they raise their hand, so we can get the picture of that and all that. But when Reebok took over and UFC negotiated that, all that money just disappeared for the fighters. They lost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Good Lord.
So, but UFC made a lot of money.
Yeah, the top brass made a lot of money. It's like, but the guys who the boots on the ground didn't, right?
Exactly. So it was a lot of unhappy fighters.
Right. I imagine, and rightfully so.
I got another question for you. You got 2 and 3. Have you talked to your wife what it's going to be like for you to go out and travel? I mean, if you get Sacred Lands made into a movie, you're going to be on set for quite a bit.
Right, and we still have a book tour planned. We have we've had 3 appearances and 3 book signings set up for one weekend in July already, and then this thing kind of hit. And I mean, we haven't really talked about it, but I was traveling quite a bit for a show called Narcos in the month of February, and that shoots in Mexico. And then we had a vacation planned in Hawaii, and so the whole month of February during this coronavirus outbreak, we were traveling, and I am probably 99% sure that my wife caught it and had it, and I had to go to Mexico. She had all the symptoms, and so that is not as big of a deal to us as we both have these full-time jobs that are quite demanding, and we don't have family nearby. We don't have help or a nanny or a babysitter nearby. So it's up to her and I to wrangle these 2 kids. And one of the hard parts I think about being an actor is that, especially these small parts, is that you don't know where you're going. You don't know when you're going from the time you book the audition. They're like, you booked it. You're going to get in touch with production, and then they're going to do your fitting, and then you'll find out about your work days and your call sheets and all that stuff. And so you don't know until 12 hours before you're supposed to be there, right? If it's within driving distance. If it's traveling, a roundabout day. So the extremely hard part is that she's we're in Tarzana, and she travels down to Newport a few times a week before this whole thing hit. And somehow we've lucked out where we've managed to juggle it all, but it's extremely kind of just not knowing or having any kind of set schedule and just jumping on, a lot of times like jumping on a plane, having somebody pick you up who you've never met, right? And they take you to a hotel, and then they say they'll be there the next day to take you to set. and you just, it's a really well-oiled machine, but I think one of the things that as work picks up and the book tour picks up, we're going to have a hard time juggling how to provide childcare, keep our jobs, and, make sure that one of us is always with the kids at some point in time during the day. You
can listen to me or not listen to me. The one thing I've interviewed over 100 people that travel for work. I'll tell you, make time for each other. Date night once a week, once every 2 weeks. I just talked to a guy who's a concert promoter up in Canada for country bands, and he makes a point. He doesn't spend any more than 4 days away from his wife. Now he can do that because it's his production, but
right.
You know, when I'm home, this is like the last 2 months have been the most time I've spent in my house in 10 years.
Right.
But
I imagine you travel a lot.
Yeah. So, but once a week, if I'm home, it's date night.
Right. That's great.
I mean, you got to do stuff like that because all of a sudden you just kind of lose yourself in the kids and work and this and that. That's right. That's my only advice, bro.
I like it. I appreciate it, and I try to do it as much as I can. But a reminder always helps too. Yeah. Like maybe I could do a little bit more here.
Well, yeah, Will Smith, I learned a lot from him. One of the interviews he did, he said, because he's divorced and now he's married to Jada, and he said, why do you think you'll be more successful being married at this time than you were the first time? He goes, because when I got married the first time, I realized, he said, men are very goal-orientated. My goal was to get married. I got married, and then my goal was to be successful in my career, and that's what I did, and I forgot what it took me to get married.
Right.
He said now it's date night, it's this and that. And I always took that with me. I'm on my second marriage too, so.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, he's right about that.
And you're right. You're right there, bro. 2 and 3, you can have your hands full.
Oh God, do we already?
Yeah. I hear you. What do you think? How do you feel your downtime when you are traveling? Do you listen to music? Are you doing work? Are you writing? Are you all the above? Or sleeping?
Well, I do a lot of reading and I do a lot of prep for the next day.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you're on location, sometimes you have a day off, and that's the day that I'll sneak away and try to go to a movie, or I'll go try to play golf if there's a public course around.
Yep.
Just something to kind of do whatever I'm used to at home, right? To kind of keep calm and press on, that kind of deal, where I find a lot of times if you sit there in your room and you dwell about the next, and not dwell, but you really hammer down the next day's work, then it doesn't come as easily when it's time to perform. But if you can do some work on it, get away, catch a breath of fresh air, go for a run. I remember when I was working on the longest ride in North Carolina, it was July and August. Oof. And it was humid. Yeah. And boy, did I love it, because it reminded me so much of Kentucky in the summers growing up. I mean, they'd give me 15 minutes or 30 minutes a break, or like, we'll need you back in 30 minutes. And I'd have my Wranglers on, and I'd just take my boots off and put some tennis shoes on, and I'd take a run outside in that humidity and just sweat. And it was like anytime you could get outside and just, I couldn't get enough of it. It reminded me so much of home, Yeah,
you don't get. It's funny because I opened up a store in Raleigh, and I flew into Charlotte and drove up to Raleigh, and then I actually took some time off, and we had time. And I drove up to Virginia, and then even got into West Virginia, and it was dead summer, and it was, I think it was like 95% humidity and 90 degrees outside. It was like, it felt like I was raining. It was just nasty, but good, but nasty.
Right? Yeah, it's nasty, but then you can wear shorts and flip flops out at night too, because it doesn't get cold. It's still 85 degrees.
Except for when I'm at work, I have to wear jeans, boots, and a flannel.
Well, then there's that, and that kind of sucks. So.
With boot socks and everything else, like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah, sweat right through them.
Yeah, exactly. That's always good. There are specific channels to go through, especially in the old Hollywood. And I'll give you an example. I'm on a radio show that's listened to in 74 countries now, with my podcast. That would have never happened 10 years ago without the internet and podcasting. It didn't exist.
Right.
The traditional way of getting something made from 10 years ago and older is different than, you can now do so many different things as far as crowd raising, Kickstart and all that other stuff.
Right.
Do you ever how much out of the box do you think of? I mean,
you talking about in terms of trying to get something made?
Yeah, trying to get Sacred Land made.
Oh gosh, I mean, I'm trying to right now. I'm just trying to get it stocked on shelves when places reopen, and I'm trying to sell some books because I mean, I would love nothing more than to do well enough with this book and the next book to where I can just continue to write books because
I gotcha.
I enjoyed that so much more. But the thing about one of the things that I've found about Hollywood is the advent of the internet and media has given them an extreme incentive to be lazy. They used to have to go scout talent. Friday, Saturday night, Thursday night, every night of the week, they would be out on the town going to theater shows and scouting actors and looking and watching TV shows and finding bit part actors that they could turn into supporting actors and that they could find like young, hungry agents would watch these shows and go to these plays and say, this is the guy, this is the guy or this is the gal that I could make some money off of, that I could really turn into something because I see talent, right?
Yeah, they used to even have contract. I mean, we just did you watch that show? I think it's on Netflix about Hollywood.
I haven't watched it yet. Is that the new Ryan Murphy show?
Yeah. And it was literally what you just said. Paramount wanted you, they would sign you, and then they would give you acting classes, and then they would put you in supporting roles in their movies until you got to that level of being a leading actor. But they worked you all the way through it.
They worked you all the way through. They signed you to a multiple picture deal, and they're like, "Do with us, you got to do 6 pictures, and we'll pay you enough to live for the year."
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so a lot of the big backlash with that is that there were stars who were like, people are coming to the movies to see me, not to see your movie. I want more money. And so the breakdown of the studio system happened and SAG and the unions came in. And, so that's the way it is now. And so you see, you hear a lot of these out of work actors and these bit part actors that are saying, God, I'd love the studio system because if I could just make a living and doing what I love to do, then I would be set. And it's like,
they owned you.
They owned you. They owned everything you did, and things only new problems always arise when a system comes in that defeats the old problem. You know what I mean? And then when the old problem's not a problem anymore, there's new problems. It's like we're not getting enough work, or I'd rather do a picture over at Universal, but I'm signed to Paramount. But what I found is that they become incredibly lazy, right? And they consider their computers and they can find, this guy has 5 million views, subscribers on YouTube. Let's put him in a film, right? Because those people are going to come watch our movie. Yeah. I don't believe that that's true. I don't think that people flock to the box office because they're a YouTube personality. And another thing is that they're not actors, right? So there's no time anymore to give them acting classes. They're coaching them a little bit on the set, but
get through it.
But they're not actors. It's blatantly clear. If you go back and watch some recent movies with some personalities or some bit parts in it, you'll see that the talent is not there because A, they're a personality, or B, they were plucked from obscurity from all these places across the U.S. that they're shooting. That's not Los Angeles or New York. Actors move to L.A. and New York because they want to be actors. They pluck people now because they're shooting in the boondocks of Georgia because of the tax incentives, and they're like, "We need a mountain man," and so they find a guy that looks like a mountain man, but it's a different ball game when the camera gets on him, and so it's this weird frontier that we're dealing with now, where they say, "Oh, we have these cameras. Why don't you go out and you can shoot anything you want, right? And you can really show off your talent." And I'll be damned if there's not a lot of great work out there, but they're not going to get a lot of views. And it's because everything's a pay-to-play system nowadays, where it's like you've got to pay to promote your stuff on Facebook, or you got to pay to promote it on YouTube, or maybe you can put it out and you can become a viral sensation. But that is probably a longer shot than making a living as an actor in this town. So
you wrote a book. And
yes,
10, 15 years ago, you would have had to go to a publishing house and get it approved, and now you can literally self-publish a book.
You can, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The problem with that, though, is that, again, it's the same situation where I wrote this book. I think it's a really good book, right? I think I believe in my writing. It's the only reason I would have invested the time. But now I have, you could say it's self-published, but or it's not by one of the big publishing houses, right? But getting those books, so now getting this book into the hands of 1 million people is a much more difficult feat than.
You think so?
Than writing than the act of writing the book. I think so. Yeah, because people, like if I go on Amazon and you'll see these sponsored books all day long. I very rarely have ever clicked on one, and the one time that I clicked on the book and actually bought it, it was the worst mistake I ever read. It was the worst piece of crap in the world, and now it scarred me, and it's like I'll never click on another sponsored book again. It's like because of your interest in Elmore Leonard or Cormac McCarthy, you should read this book, and it's just not the same. And so,
but I mean, I guess I look.
Go ahead.
And maybe it's just because I'm an old business guy.
Sure.
I look at your book and go, if you and I were friends, I would call Boot Barn. They're in Orange County in Irvine.
Right. Right.
265 stores and an online presence. They own Sheplers.com and CountryOutfitters.com. They bought all those. I would call them up and say, hey, I have a book I'd like to put in there, blah, blah, blah. Or could I do signings in the store? So you could do a book tour in Boot Barns and and not sponsored by Boot Barn, but let them put it on, and then see if you can do a reading on their Instagram page. And now you're tying into their couple 100,000 followers. You know what I mean? I just think
I would do that in a heartbeat. You're right, and I think that's kind of the grassroots deal that you can only do with self-publishing.
Yeah,
I believe, and I think that's as soon as you said Boot Barn, that actually popped into my mind, and I think it's an outstanding idea. You're right. It's become the one thing that technology has opened the window for, and you're seeing it with your podcast, is it's opened the window for hustlers to make a name for themselves. For people who really want to sweat it and really want to work hard and get out there and fail until it works. And it's made that just a little bit easier, I think. Well, you're right.
I've definitely had more people say no or no response than said yes to my podcast. So,
right.
Lady Gaga said she was busy. At least that's what I'm telling myself in my own head if she were to but whatever, man. I get to talk to you. The way I look at it is I'm talking to people I never would have gotten a chance to talk to.
Right. And that is, as we know it, that's even just talking to people is the landscape of that's going to change. It's already changed with technology, but good Lord, I find myself now, I'm so tired of people texting and they just keep rifling things off that you pick up the phone, you get it done in 5 seconds.
I literally told my wife, I go, don't text her anymore. Pick up the phone or call her tonight. You guys are just yapping at each other and you lose too much. It's
right.
Yeah. Anyway, so I literally had that conversation this morning because my wife was going back with her boss because, everyone's getting a little stressed. My wife's a Pilates instructor, so until they open up gyms, she's out of work.
Right.
And a lot of the Pilates studios aren't doing well to begin with. You know what I mean? It's a month-to-month thing.
Right.
And so all of a sudden you take 2 or 3 or 4, and who knows when they're going to open up gyms again. So everyone's a little stressed. But
absolutely.
I just, because I had Max Martini on my show.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. I love his stuff.
And he just did a Western, and because we ended up doing a banner sponsor in one of the rings for the show, for the movie.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But, he has his own production firm. So I had Kevin Sorbo, who's doing his own movies, who was Hercules.
Right.
And it seems like if you kind of went after those guys and their production firms, which are doing movies like this, it makes more sense than just trying to go after the big guys. I don't know. I mean, you can tell.
No, I mean, Pete. Pete, I'm gonna hire you as my agent as soon as we get off the phone. This is just based on your ideas alone.
We'll just hang with friends. That's all it is. I didn't take any of Ryan Moat's money when he won that $500,000. So,
you should have.
I should have. Damn it.
Well, funny. I ran into Max Martini. He obviously has no idea because it was just sitting there. But my first daughter was probably about, I don't know, she must have been 15 months old, right? And Max Martini sat down at the table next to us.
That's awesome.
And my daughter was just mesmerized by him, right? And I'm like, for the love of God, of course, like badass movie star. We just saw 13 Hours Benghazi, right? Like great performance, and just seems like an all-around cool guy. And she's just sitting there and waving at him and flirting with him, and he's playing right back, right?
Yep.
Eating it up. And then the guy that he's meeting for lunch must have sat at the other end of the restaurant. And so he gets called. He goes, "Oh yeah, I'll be over there in just a second." So he gets up and he stops, and my daughter's like, "Where the hell are you going?" And he's like, "Oh," and he leans back and he's like, "I'm sorry. I'll be back later, boo. Would you mind if I just go? My friend's over there to eat lunch. Would you mind if I just step over there?" And, my daughter muttered like, or something like that. And he's like, "Okay, thank you." And like waved, and she waved and got all bashful. And I was like, that was pretty cool. So it was I'll never forget it.
No, he's a good, he was actually, he did a movie with, called Red Belt with my jiu-jitsu instructor. And
okay.
Like at least 10 years ago. And so when I reached out to him, he had the movie called Sergeant Will Gardner, and that was his movie. He wrote it, directed, produced, acted.
Wow.
Called all of his friends, Robert Patrick and Gary Sinise. He had everybody he could. He goes, I pulled all my favors in. And
yeah, that's great.
So when I reached out to him, he goes, "Yeah, I'll do your podcast." I'm like, "Really?" It's like,
that's awesome.
Okay. But it's super, super great guy. But if you found somebody like him, and I don't know how that works, but I know I would try and find people, or who made Yellowstone. Seems like a big production. That was Paramount and all that, though. Right.
Yeah, Yellowstone's big, and Taylor Sheridan, he's already on to another show.
But what if you what if you hit up RFD TV? I don't know if they're doing it.
Yeah, I've reached out to Cowboy Channel and RFD TV about advertising the book with them. And we're looking at doing something maybe when the rodeo, because they have exclusive rights to All Pro Rodeo starting in July.
Yep.
Or I guess starting in January, but
it's not really.
That didn't work out, and so
who knows if Cheyenne's going to go off, and they got a whole bunch of issues going on right now.
Right. So I reached out to them, and I'm talking with them. They're more of a family oriented type programming, so I think this novel is a little too dark for them. By a little too dark, I mean a lot dark. But it's something that.
But as you know, dude, you pitch it to somebody that works there now, and in 6 months they're working somewhere else. They're going, "Hey, I met this guy. He's got a book." You know what I mean?
That's a good point. You're right.
So I say pitch it to everybody and let it land. It's kind of like, without giving specifics, do you live close to the Valley?
I'm in the Valley. We're in Tarzana.
Okay. There's a country store or Western store called Country General Store in Van Nuys.
Yeah. I used to live right on Van Nuys and Burbank.
Right there.
Yeah.
Get that book in that store.
You're right.
And I'll help you out. I'll call Rick up for you, because almost every Western wardrobe person shops in that store.
Yes. Country General Store in Van Nuys. You're right.
Because I've been in there, and Sons of Anarchy wardrobe person was in there, and this I sold Bill Paxton some Stetson hats because he wanted to give them away to the when he was shooting Alamo in Texas, and so I had to ship the ball caps right to his set. And Jack Black came in and bought some boots and a shirt when I was there, and so I'm just saying, man, you get your book in there, even if it's at a loss to a certain extent. Yeah,
anything. I'd really appreciate it.
Boot Star too on Sunset.
What's it called?
Called Boot Star. It's a little boot
store.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of that.
There's another one in Beverly Hills. I don't sell to them, but they'd probably sell your book too. I would just do stuff like that because I know like Dwight Yoakam shops in that one store in Beverly Hills. I was talking to the owner. My stuff was too affordable for that store. That's what he told me. I'm like, well, I could charge you more.
Yeah, we can upcharge it, no problem.
Our boots are only $800 retail, but if that's not enough, I can charge you more.
Jesus Christ! I mean, it's probably just to pay the overhead on that place and the rent.
Yeah, but I mean, so if you got, I mean, you're in the town, so if you can get it out in places like that on countertops, you never know.
You never know. You're right. Now, just when they open up again, I guess you said Boot Barns are still open though.
Some of the Boot Barns, I mean, the corporates, I don't know. I don't even think they've brought the people back yet. I mean, I can check it. But some of the stores, you know, obviously Texas and some of the other Utah, I mean, they're opening.
Right.
Up. So we just got a lot of the California stores are still closed. But
yeah, what more do you need?
I told all of my retail stores, man, for the last 2 or 3 years, you guys got to get an online presence. You have to. I have 2 big accounts, Boot Barn and Yeehaw Cowboy. They're in Santa Clarita by Magic Mountain. It's Christmas time for them right now. People are still shopping.
Oh, I bet. Oh, yeah, they are. They're shopping more than they generally do.
BootBarn.com has doubled with what they were at year-to-date last year for me. They're the only reason I'm still eating.
Oh, my God. Oh, that's great then.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice if I had my stores and that, but you know what I mean? But
right.
I don't want to get greedy, but I mean, so online sales is, you know, for retail, it's crazy that people are buying $800 boots online. It's like, really? You don't want to try them on?
They have the same brand. They know how they fit.
That's true. I mean, it's, you know, if you wear MWZs, that's what you wear.
That's right.
But if you buy Stetson jeans, I like you more. What's been your most favorite place to travel for work? For work,
that's a good question.
North Carolina.
I really enjoyed North Carolina because it was so much like home, but it's nothing that I hadn't seen before. I really enjoyed the first part of North Carolina because what happened was I had an agent based out here and didn't hear anything from him. After I signed with him, I didn't hear a lick from him, right? 6 months go by, and he says, "Oh, you have an audition for The Longest Ride. It's in Wilmington, North Carolina, but it's a self-tape." And I said, "Okay, great." So I did the self-tape, and then 2 days later, he gets back to me. He goes, "You have a callback, and it's in Wilmington, North Carolina on Tuesday." And I said, "Monday is Memorial Day, and this is Friday or Saturday." And he's like, "Yeah, well, it's Tuesday, so you just got to get yourself there." I'm like, "Can't we do a Skype?" And he goes, "I guarantee if you walk in the room, you're going to get the part." And I said, "Okay." Well, shit, I don't have any money, right? It was me and my wife, and and I was like, "And how the hell did you get me an audition in Wilmington?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm based in Atlanta." So I'm like, "When'd you go to Atlanta?" And he goes, 6 months ago. "I didn't tell you?" I go, "No, you didn't tell me." He goes, "I guess I'm not that high on your list as a top client, right? But whatever. I'm excited about this." And so Memorial Day tickets flying to Wilmington were awful, extremely expensive. But we're like, my wife and I, we'd never really taken a vacation. We've been together a few years at that point. And so awesome. We're like, we're just going to make a trip out of it. And so we went to this place called Carolina Beach. And it's this kind of it reminds me of a smaller Daytona Beach, if you've ever been to Daytona. Yeah. And it's, it's a little on the trashy side, but in a good way, right? I like that kind of stuff to visit.
You're from Kentucky. What the heck?
Yeah, you can't knock it. So, so we went to Carolina Beach and then did all the fair stuff and all the kitschy stuff and just had a great time. Just a badass weekend, just her and I, and going to all these hole in the walls. And we ended up finding somebody from Kentucky and drinking cinnamon moonshine that he was making in his own apartment.
Of
It
course.
was just, of course, because what else would you do? And then I went in on Tuesday and read and didn't find out I got the part until like 2 weeks later, right? So I'm just sweating bullets all the way back to L.A.
Yeah.
on that Tuesday. But that was Carolina Beach was a fun time just because you do the hustle and bustle of Los Angeles so much that getting out was a nice break. But I will say that I just got in February, I was shooting Narcos, and that shoots in Mexico City.
It's at altitude.
Right. I didn't even know.
If you got to run around, get in shape before, bro.
Oh, well, it's too late. It's too late to tell me that now, because I was huffing and puffing the whole time down there. But it was, it was 70 degrees, and people are asking, do you want sunscreen? And I'm thinking, what do I need sunscreen for? This is ridiculous. I mean, we're outside, but I'm fine. And I had no idea about the altitude, but I had never been to Mexico City, and I had never seen, the only time I had been out of the country was Cancun, and it's a world different from Cancun.
Yeah. And then some.
Right.
Mexico City's, for one, it's just a crap ton of people.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
And, people are riding with their babies in the front seat of their trucks, just, infants, I'm talking, just holding them up over the dashboard. And it's a little more wild out there. But I had worked on a movie beforehand it just got pulled from theaters, but it's called The Forever Purge. And it was supposed to come out in July. And a guy on that show I had met, his name's Alejandro Etta. He plays El Chapo in Narcos.
Right.
He's from Mexico City. And so, I went from that project to Narcos, and it was like, he probably thought I was stalking him, because I'm like, I'll call him, Alejandro, I'm going to be in Mexico City shooting Narcos. And so he showed me around town, and it helped because, they don't speak English like they do at a Mexican resort town. And my Spanish is actually kind of mediocre, because from working in restaurants here, starting out bartending, and I also ran horses on a polo ranch up in Santa Ynez that
Did you really?
that are about, during the high season, must have had about 100 horses. And so I learned quite a bit of Spanish up there
as
it pertains. Yeah, where at?
Back at the ranch, right across from the Red Barn restaurant.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Yep.
Right across from, there's a Mexican restaurant right across from there. I
Yeah.
can't think of it. Dos Carlitos.
Right in the corner, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be damned. I love Santa Ynez.
I do too.
What a great town.
It's
And
a lot of good properties up there.
a lot of good. Yeah, my wife and I, we almost moved up there because her boss at the time lived up there, and she was managing the ranch that I subsequently ended up, running horses on.
I got you.
And that was a full-time job for her. I think we were about to have our first kid, and it was just amazing country. I think one of the things about California that I just absolutely love is the landscape and how it complements with the weather. It's just, I've never seen anything like it. The hills, the mountains, the ocean, it's got it all.
That's the one thing, because I work at NFR every year for the last 12 years now, 11, 12
Uh-huh.
years. And everyone's like, where are you from? I go, I'm the California rep. And they're like, California? You sell cowboy boots in California? I go, California's a big state, my friend. Between San Francisco and Los Angeles, there's a lot of cows and a lot of
There's
horses.
a lot of cows. You're right. You're right about that.
One of my favorite territories, I have 3 stores in Salinas, and then I have a couple in surrounding cities too. But I go up there 4 times a year. And you mentioned Steinbeck. My daughter, the screenwriter, I went to the Steinbeck Museum, the house up there, and they sell little trinkets, you can buy a piece of the Steinbeck wallpaper that they've put into little lockets for a necklace.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that for Christmas one year.
Oh, how cool is that?
She was a big Steinbeck fan reading, when she was in college and high school. So,
right.
So when you said that, I was like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, that's great. And the Salinas Valley and the East San Jose Hills, that all kind of mirrors the same landscape as Encinitas. It's just the rolling brown hills and the tall heather grass. It's amazing.
You get more
sycamore trees.
You get more fog in Salinas than you do in. You get the fog's really thick up through there, just like it is here in May and June.
Right.
And even like they have the rodeo in Salinas in July, and they'll get fogged in every once in a while.
Yeah, it burns off about midday or in the afternoon.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just like here.
Right.
Yeah. So what else do you got going on, man? Besides everything.
That's about it. I mean, I've got a legal script, a legal thriller that's going around town that I had been working on for years, I say, since 2016. But good Lord, it felt like years. It felt like a decade, right? Writing the same story over and over, and having one director on board that's a name and trying to tweak it to his liking, and then having another director and trying to tweak it to their liking. And so now Clayne Crawford just read it, and he likes it. He doesn't like it for him, but he likes it as a potential TV series instead of a film. So,
all right.
Then it came back, and they're saying, "Hey, would you mind? Are you interested in turning this thing into a pilot?" And at this point, I was gung ho about films because I love films.
Yeah.
2 hours max of my time, and I'll watch it if it's good, right? And but now TV shows are all the fuss, and
that'll change.
There's a lot of good TV, but I don't make it past the first episode because I just don't have
your schedule.
It's just a lot. Yeah, it's just a lot. It's just a lot to invest all your time and energy each night into these shows and get to know these characters. And so, but that being said, if they want a pilot, I can turn the damn thing into a pilot, no problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I always, people have asked me, what are you going to do with your podcast? I go, I don't know. It is what it is. It's out there. So
right. Keep it moving. That's all you can do, I guess. I mean, in just about anything, right? Just keep pushing forward.
Well, I think I have a little up because I'm doing very well with my job. So
right.
I do this it's pure hobby. It's pure out of something I love to do. And I think it's working because I'm not desperate at it. It's like when you're trying to date the hot girl and she knows you're desperate, you're like, she says no, but when you come in kind of cool and don't worry about it,
somehow they come to you.
Yeah. So
that's right.
It's kind of how it works. And, I've had people say, oh, you should turn your episodes into books, and because I could do chapters of actors and then athletes. I've had Olympic athletes, and I could do a chapter on Olympic athletes traveling, and I'm like, yeah, okay,
right,
do that.
That's an option.
So, but that's why I look at what you're doing. You got your hands kind of in a whole bunch of different things, but I think that's kind of what you got to do nowadays to a certain extent.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the character traits that I have is it's extremely hard for me to sit still and wait by the phone. So if I write a script and waiting for people to read it, I mean, months go by before people can get to these things because you're just kind of in the bottom of the query list. And so, I also recognize that because technology too, everybody can sit. It's easier for people to write books and screenplays and there's more people than there ever have been too in the world, and the access. So it's coming from all over the world, and so
we get more outlets too. I mean, look at
more outlets, right?
Hulu, Netflix.
Oh, it's endless, right? And so it's been good to be an actor during that. As a writer, it's harder to get through the gate because nobody wants to read anything because of so much bad stuff out there. But I'll wait, I'll send the script in, and then I'll go to work on this book and I'll focus my efforts on the book. So it's kind of just me going, what can I do now? Where can I find an avenue creatively to get into the business, right?
The opinion I heard, I saw on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, we went to don't tell anybody, we went to a party was like 7 people. We had we had an illegal gathering of people in the backyard. Don't tell anybody. I know it's a law. I'm a law. Well,
yeah, your secret is safe with me.
I'm a rule breaker, I guess. It's not a law, so I don't want to say I'm a law breaker. Anyways,
right, mandate breaker.
Yeah, exactly. But so the one of the guys in there he's a TV show producer for, I think he does like Hallmark stuff up in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I had asked him, obviously not knowing I was going to talk to you, but I just said, what's the difference between producing TV and producing movies? And he said, TV is all about the writer, and a movie is all about who's going to act in it.
Right.
That's what. So he said, if you're pitching a movie, you need Ryan Gosling's name to it, or Tom Cruise, a name. Whereas if you're doing a TV show, they want to know who's writing it and who's behind it, because then they can kind of fill in the parts. That's what he told me. I don't know. If that makes sense.
It's kind of like TV's the new theater in terms of stage plays, right? Because whoever wrote the play had the utmost authority in terms of what went on stage at the end of the day, and so TV's a writer's medium. And now, film has become so corporate and taken over that it is about who are the actors, because that's why you see a lot of these first time and young directors or directors who came out of commercials to direct these big blockbusters, is because the stars and the studios are kind of running the show, and they give these directors these projects because they're malleable.
Yep. See? I love learning stuff.
Right. Yeah, me too.
That's awesome. Well, what's the best way for any of my listeners to stay in touch with what you got going on? And I'm telling you right now, I'm pushing you ahead of some other people I've already recorded, because you've got the hard date coming out of the book release, and then you've got the a contest going on. So I'm going to try and get you out before that. So I'm going to try and get
that'd be great. Thank you so much.
So what's the best way for them to get a hold of you or see what you got going on?
We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm new to all this social media stuff. I've pushed it off for as long as I can, and it's not under me. It's under Sacred Land, the novel. And then also on sacredlandbook.com. You can subscribe to us and come straight to me. Questions, comments, concerns, fan mail, whatever you want to send, I'm all ears. I'm all eyes. Those are the best avenues to get to me.
So on Facebook, and I'll put all the links on my website as well, but on Facebook, it's Sacred Land Novel.
Correct.
Because there's a few Sacred Lands. I was trying to find it, and I'm like, okay. So it's Sacred Land Novel. And then,
that's right. And then Twitter, I think, is Sacred Land, a neo-Western crime thriller. Let's see. And all the links, you can get to all the links on the website, sacredlandbook.com.
Oh, before I forget, because I'm going to have, I had a question for you. About the longest ride, if you got one more minute.
Oh, of course.
Other than you being too tall to be a bull rider.
That's not, there's a few guys over 6 feet that are bull riders.
Not many. Not many. Anyway, did you get on a bull?
I did not, but there was so they asked me in the audition, have you ever been on a bull? And I was like, I came all the way to Carolina Beach in Wilmington to book this gig, and if I don't book this gig, I'm in the red, right? So I got to book this gig to break even.
Oh shit! So you lied. I gotcha.
So you damn right I lied. I was like, listen, I've rode a few bulls amateurly, never made the 8. And I had a couple rodeos in mind that I had said I had been on a bull.
Yeah. And
they're like, all right. And it was all the producers, and George Tillman was in there, the director, right? And so it must have been the last day of shooting. We were doing all the bull rides. And Marty Bowen, the producer, comes up and he goes, Brett, we're going to need you to get on a bull for this. You good with that? And I said, yeah, ain't nothing I haven't done before. All right. And he's like, okay, yeah, good. Just checking. We'll give you one that you could probably make the 8 on. And he's stone faced, right? He's like, yeah, no big deal. Okay. I'll go tell George. And I'm like, okay, great. he walks away, and I damn near shit my pants.
I was going to say.
I'm like, oh, son of a bitch! I don't know what am I going to do now? Okay, so I text my wife, and I'm like, listen, I know you're not going to want to hear this, but I got to get on a bull. It's just for the show. Nothing's probably going to happen to me. I'm going to be fine. And that was in my trailer. And of course, I leave my phone in my trailer before she gets back to me because she's at work. You're right, and then finally when she sees it, she's like, bullshit, you're getting on a bull. What do you mean? And so I didn't respond because I didn't have my phone. Yeah. So she's sweating bullets, and they load this bull into the chute, and I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting there trying to all chapped up, and I'm trying to be, and all the extras were real PBR bull riders. You know, we got like Casey Hayes and Reese Cates and Ross Coleman and Justin McBride and J.W. Hart. All these guys were there. and Chase Outlaw, Robson, Blair, like all these great guys. And so they're all like taping up my glove. And I'm like, you know, like any tips? They're like, you ever done this before? I'm like, yeah, you know, a couple times, but you know, not the caliber you guys get on. I'm trying to be tough. And I'm like, this is good. This is bad. This is going to be like greatness to zero in a matter of less than a second. Your acting career is about to be over, but you're going to go out with a bang.
You're going to get stomped on.
I swear to God, the last second, Marty comes up and he goes, "Oh, hold it, Brett. Hang on just one second." And he goes, "They just told me that insurance won't allow us to do it. The studio's not going to approve it. So we're going to have Lostro. We're going to have Cody Lostro get on for you. Your stunt double." And I said, "Oh, come on! I can
just give me
one." Studio doesn't even have to know. I can do this. Okay? He's like, as a producer, I can't let you do it. And I'm looking at his eyes, and I'm like, this son of a bitch was bullshitting me the whole time and wanted to see if I would cave, but he didn't crack. And he goes,
"But you didn't either, right?"
I didn't either. And I know to this day that if we probably saw each other again, we'd figure it out, you know. But it was. And then, of course, I got all kinds of hell from my old lady back in California about it. But, you know, and rightfully so, right? What kind of asshole sends a text he's going to get on a bucking bull and then leaves his phone? So
I have a buddy. He was a PBR rider, Tony Mendez. And Tony's retired now. And he owns a bucking ranch. Western Colorado, La Fruta. And he's like, "Pete, you got to come out." I was in his wedding, you know, and all that. And he's like, "You got to come out. I'll get you on a bull." I go, "Tony, I'm over 50. I don't need to get on a bull." He goes, No, I'll get you on a training bull. Don't even worry about it. I go, "Tony, I don't even want to get on a mechanical bull. I only do that when I'm really drunk at NFR, and I don't like doing it. I'm not getting on a real bull that could actually step on me. Get out of here."
Right.
I don't have that part of me anymore. I don't know what happened, but it's gone. I don't got it.
Very few people. I don't know what I would have done. I probably, you know, oh God, I can't even think about what would have happened.
But see, you didn't have kids back then either, right?
Right.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. Whatever. You're moving. You want to hear a similar story?
Yes, absolutely, I do.
So I'm at a NFR party at the top of the Hilton, the old Hilton. It's not the Hilton anymore. It's called the Westgate, I think now. But it's the old Elvis Presley suite. He owned. So when he used to perform, he had a private elevator that would go up to the top floor, and he had all three wings.
Oh my God!
And so this company, it's not a company. It's a group, an organization, and they rent out that top floor. And every wing has a different theme, and it's different. It's definitely Vegas.
Yeah, I get you.
So I'm going through there, and I'm lucky enough I got a free invite and all that. I didn't have to be part of it, and so I'm up there, and I mean, there's Suzanne Summers is there, and John Paul Mitchell, and there's different people. I mean, it's all it's money people,
right?
And I'm walking around, and I got my friends are there, and we're talking. And my wife, who has met almost every celebrity you can meet, she lived in Las Vegas for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Her absolute number one all-time favorite person is Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, hell yeah, Grease.
So she's never met Olivia, right? I invited her, I had invited her to the party, and she said, "No, it's all your cowboys. I don't want to. Yeah, forget that." I'm like, "All right, that's a work thing, you know. I mean, for me, it's work,
right? Sure."
So I go there, and I've had just a couple of drinks, and Olivia Newton-John and her husband walk by. I'm like, I have to say something. I have to. So I go up and I say, I hate to bother you. I just want to say, you know, my wife and I were really big fans. We actually came and saw you perform at the Flamingo, and my wife's a huge fan. And she goes, "Oh my God, that's great." And she was my fiance at the time. And I said, you know, when you get married, and it's super nice, and they're just talking. And I said, "God, I don't ever do this." And I don't. I mean, I can prove it. But I said, she won't believe me. Is it possible I can get a picture with you? She goes, "Yeah, no problem." So we take the picture. And she gets in the elevator and goes down. She was leaving. I send my wife the picture of me and Olivia. And I didn't send anything in the text. And I hit send, and then one of my store owners who's at the party comes up to me and says, "Hey, Pete." And I go, "Hey." So I put my phone in my back pocket. And I'm talking to my store owner, and I'm like, "Hey, Todd, how's everything going? This and that. Hey, it's great." And I just feel my phone for 10 minutes. It's ringing. I'm getting texts. I'm getting emails. And so the store owner leaves, and I go to my phone, and she's like, "Don't let her leave. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Let me know where you're at. I'm on my way. I already left Norma." And I'm like, baby, she's gone. Don't let her leave. I'm like, no, she's gone. She goes, so now, whenever she says, "Oh, I met Bono from you know, or whatever you're humble bragging about," and I go, oh yeah, Olivia says hi. That's it. She goes, "I hate you." So,
Sandy, I love it.
But I learned not to put my phone away after hitting send.
Oh, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I should have learned from that incident, but for some reason, it still happened.
But at least I didn't say I'm about to get on a bull. She would have shot me, bro. I'm about to get on a bull. Talk to you later. Love you.
Yeah.
Lucky you got kids.
Yours is a pretty good story too, though.
Well, that's all good, man. Well, hey, I'll definitely put this out. We should talk later. You know, if you want to talk about the book and maybe talking about getting in some stores and all that. I don't know how many copies you got. Probably more than a couple.
Yeah, I'd love to. Let's talk more. I'd love to shoot the shit with you about it and see what we can do. And I'd also just love to send you a copy. I've got them on order. As soon as because they're author copies, and they don't make anything on them. They're taking their sweet ass time with it. But as soon as they come in, I'd love to send you one. So
I appreciate it. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I was gonna try and buy it on. I don't have a Kindle, so I know your book's available on Kindle. You got the hard copy. I mean, people can get your book.
Yeah, it's on Amazon in paperback and Kindle format, either one. And then we're also distributing it through Ingram, and that way bookstores, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, Target, Costco, any place that carries books, they order books through Ingram because Ingram is the world's largest distributor of books. So it's accessible through there as well.
So it's going to be everywhere, hopefully.
That's the idea.
So you want to get 1 million books sold. That was the goal, right?
That's the goal.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to be able to buy that many from you, but.
Hey, like the Confucius, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
That's it, man. That's life.
Yeah.
That's life. I like that. I'm going to use that one. Well, hey, again, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate you.
Yes. Pete, thanks so much for having me on. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too, man. And I'll talk to you soon.
I look forward to it. We'll be in touch.
All right. Thanks, Brett. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
All
Talk
right.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.